Welcome to the Stanley Cup Playoffs pregame show on SN. Right here on SN Sports Live, you are watching a presentation of SN Sports on SN. Brought to you by GW. Three big NHL Stanley Cup Playoff games today. And last night we had, was it Friday Night Hockey? Only one team would advance, and that would be the Winnipeg Jets. I believe a 5-0 win on home ice against the Minnesota Wild, and I forgot that Winnipeg Jets were second best team in NHL overall. So we paid our taxes, and it's a new day. But it's going to be the Devils with an opportunity to force Game 6 back into Jersey. Lightning can move on to play either Toronto or Boston. Well, the Blue Jackets Capitals series, the only series that is tied 2-2. All other series are either 3-1, 3-2, or over at 4-0. And then Maple Leafs Bruins. It's Hockey Night in Canada in Boston on NBC at 7 p.m. Central Time, all time Central here on the SN Sports Family Networks. So NBC/NBCSN. So if you live in a region that likes Devils or Lightning, you'll get that game on NBC. If you're in a different region, like West Coast, probably Washington area, you'll get the Blue Jackets Capitals game on your local NBC broadcast station. And then the whole country will be getting Toronto, Boston on Saturday Night Hockey, as NBA doesn't like to do any classical basketball. They don't like to do basketball on Saturday nights on ABC because that doesn't get enough money. They like to do weird times on Sundays. Okay, let's see. Let's get right into these games. But first, let's talk about last night. The other two games. The Pittsburgh Penguins and the Philadelphia Flyers in game number 5. Flyers would go up 1-0. Then the Penguins would score 2 unanswered goals. Flyers would even it up before the end of the second period. Then with about just over 100 seconds left, the Flyers would take the lead. Flyers would score an empty net goal. Flyers win 4-2. Flyers force Game 6 tomorrow on NBC at 2 p.m. So, the other game, though, in late night last night, I'm sorry to tell you that I stayed up really late to watch that game because I was talking to some people, and they picked the Avalanche to win. If they didn't pick the Avalanche to win, I don't think we'd be having a Game 6 tomorrow. The Avalanche somehow scored 2 goals. They scored a goal late, like in the third period. It was 0-0 through 2 periods.
Jared, I would pick Lightning, Capitals, and Boston. Let's go.
Okay. Let me get my voice back real quick. I need my water. But okay. We'll put his picks in for him. But we have Blue Jackets Capitals on. So I was talking to some people. I can't disclose their names because, kind of against the rules. But they were talking to me. They're like, I asked them a question. Who do you think is going to win? It was 0-0 at the time. The Colorado Avalanche or the Nashville Predators. They said, Colorado Avalanche, let's go. Like if these people don't know what hockey is, okay? They honestly don't know. Probably never heard of it in their life. But what they did know is who's going to win the game. And I can assure you that the Avalanche probably wouldn't have won if they didn't pick the Avalanche, because really all odds were against the Avalanche last night. So the Predators would take a 1-0 lead. I think one of the Predators' goals was disallowed. I'm not sure, though. But the Predators did take a 1-0 lead. Then the Avalanche answered with maybe less than 10 minutes left. Not sure how late he answered. They tie the game at 1. Then just over 100 seconds left, Avalanche took the lead 2-1. They would not look back from that. Avalanche survived it. They win at 2-1, and they force Game 6, which will be tomorrow night on NBCSN, streaming live on the NBC Sports app. Of course, we'll have coverage here 10 a.m. tomorrow, right here on SN. Okay, thank you all for tuning in, and let's get to our picking of the games today. Obviously, is more exciting than me just running my mouth about these teams. Okay, let me find my things. There we go. Here we go. We're ready. Let's go. Some playoff hockey. So JB picks weird teams. He picks home teams because he doesn't know what hockey is. And I have to agree with his picks because I'm going to agree with the Tampa pick, and I'm going to agree with the Boston pick. Well, Tampa, it's such a good environment there in Tampa that I just think that the Lightning can steal a game or at home and win the series. I just don't know if the Devils can go back to Tampa and put on a performance that they couldn't even put on in Game 4. The Lightning have outplayed the Devils in this postseason, but I do think the Devils have a higher chance to win today in Tampa than the Maple Leafs do in Boston. Boston is going to be rocking tonight. They're angry. Their Celtics lost last night to the Bucks, but that's not that bad. Okay, did you have to win at the Bucks? No. Did you want to win? 100%. But what I am going to say is that Boston crowd's ready. They are ready to take another win in this series, and they're ready to move on. They want to get to the conference final again this year, and then potentially get to the Stanley Cup final. But first things first, they got to win tonight against Toronto, or they'll have to go back to Toronto on Monday night. Which is not going to be an easy place to win. So you might as well just get it done tonight. You've got to get it done against Toronto tonight. That's what I'm going to tell you. But one other series, Blue Jackets Capitals. Well, what we saw in this series is even games. The first 3 games were very, very even. And then the Capitals took over in Game 4. If I'm a Blue Jackets player, I am frustrated. I'm frustrated as I'm a hockey fan that this series is tied at 2. Columbus should be up 3-1. They earned it. I'm picking Columbus today. They're going to come into the nation's capital. The Capitals don't play well in their own building, surprisingly. I just don't understand why they aren't playing the best hockey at home. They played a lot better in Game 4 than they did in Game 1 and 2, especially late in the game. Now, thing with Columbus is you have to start fast. You can't have a slow start and let Washington score multiple goals. Once it got to a 3-goal game, it's over. It's really over. You're not coming back. Washington knows how to play defense. They can defend a lead all they want, but the thing is, Columbus has to keep it to a maximum of a 1-goal lead heading into the third period. 1-goal deficit, I mean. That's the biggest deficit that Columbus can come back from. They have to keep the game close. Because Columbus, they can score in the clutch. They will score in the clutch. We've seen it happen. If this series was 3-0, I don't even know if the Capitals would have won Game 4. If this series was 3-0, it might have been 4-0, and we might not even be talking about this game. But thing is, the Capitals, they took care of business in Game 4. Game 3 was as even as Game 2. None of the first 4 games matter anymore. It's all about the last 3 games in the series. can Columbus win a game in Washington? And if they can, Washington's got to win Game 6. If Columbus wins tonight, Washington has to win Game 6. And you have to put them in an elimination game in your building. Make Washington come to your building having to win a hockey game. That's how you're going to beat them. Columbus 0-2 in their own building, 2-0 in Washington's building. And the thing I'm going to tell you about that, it's not going to hold up. It's not going to hold up through 7 games. Washington will win either 5 or 7 in their own building. So Columbus will have to win tonight. They don't want to go back for Game 7. Even though Game 7s haven't been good in Washington in the recent memory, Columbus has to win tonight in Game 6. There's just no other options that I'm going to tell you. Game 6 is going to have to be Game 7. You're not going to Washington. Nope. That flight shouldn't even be booked by right now. It has to be because Columbus Blue Jackets haven't been dependent. I thought the Blue Jackets were going to get swept in this series. Honestly, I thought they were going to, and they very much could have. But they somehow pulled off clutches in Game 1 and 2. This is an afternoon game. This is the first afternoon game of the series. The earliest game, the earliest start, and I think Columbus is going to be ready to start the game strong. Because for whatever reason, they can't start a game at 6 or 7 o'clock p.m. Central Time. But I hope that they can start a game at 2 p.m. Central Time, and maybe the Capitals will be a little bit tired. They'll be like taking too much. I think they were celebrating a little too much over the weekend or over the Thursday and Friday night. I don't know if they're going to be ready. I think they would be ready to a 6 o'clock game, maybe not a 2 o'clock game. I think that the Capitals will not start as strong as the Blue Jackets. This is going to be the best start we'll see of the Blue Jackets in this whole series. I can assure you of that that's going to happen tonight. The Blue Jackets will not be beaten because they don't start well. They will only be beaten because they don't score in overtime. This is a really good series. There's a reason why it's tied 2-2, because this is even. Both teams want this one. But the first 4 games don't matter. Who cares that the Blue Jackets won Game 1? Who cares that the Blue Jackets won Game 2? Nobody cares. It's 2-2 in the series. It's who can win Game 5, 6, 7. You have to win 2 out of 3 to move on. And whoever moves on to this series, they're asking for something. Pittsburgh or Philadelphia, they are going to give you a game. They will give you a fight. But that series hasn't had the kind of overtime that this series has. This series had 3 out of 4 in overtime. The Pittsburgh series has had 0 overtime games, and mostly games where players aren't even playing in the third period. They're not playing 100% of the third period because the game's over, because it's more than a 3-goal lead. With the exception of Game 5 last night. Yeah, Game 5 was the only game that starters were laboring late in the third period. That you're laboring to try to change the results. And it was looking like we were going to see overtime. But the Penguins, they let up a goal. And now they have to go back to Philly and play another 60-minute hockey game. But thank you so much for tuning in. We'll be previewing 2 more games tomorrow across NBC and NBCSN. This has been a presentation of SN Sports on SN, home of the Stanley Cup Final.